Welcome to the Political Goat. I'm your host, Uncle Felix. And today's show is going to be a little different because I'm going to be coming to you live from my car. As you can see, there's my son unpacking his stuff now. Um, but yeah, sorry, I couldn't make it back in time to um, to do it from my office. But hey, we're still gonna have some fun. And this week here, we are going to stay, believe it or not, with Rhode Island high school football and talk some Super Bowl. And I promise next week I'll be back right on my politics, right back into the political game because there's a lot of stuff, crazy stuff going on there. But for now, we're gonna stay with Rhode Island football. And what I really want to talk about is obviously the Super Bowls. We had all five Super Bowls in the state of Rhode Island. The Power Four championship, Division One, Two, Three, and Four, all great matchups, all great games. They all lived up to the hype. Um, let's start off right away with Division Four. I actually, believe it or not, I got that one wrong, and that was the matchup between Narragansett and the Pontigansett. Uh, in my defense, well, yeah, you know, yeah, I got that one wrong. I'm not. I'm just gonna say it just like that. I got that one wrong. Pontigansett, I thought was gonna be too much for the run game. I thought it would be too much for Narragansett, but Narragansett was able actually to control and stop Pontigansett's run game. Nick Bacala, um, he carried the load for Pontigansett, and but he was held in check by the Narragansett defense. Narragansett did enough on offense. They put up some points. I think they ended up winning that game 21-7, I believe. Um, but it was an easier win for Narragansett than I thought. Again, I thought Pontigansett would win that game, but the Mariners came out on top, and kudos to them for that. And then we'll go into Division Three. That game, that's another game I actually got wrong. I'm not looking good today. Um, that game was Coventry and where is it here? Coventry and the Panthers. Um, that's the game where I thought, my head was telling me Coventry, but my heart was telling me Panthers. Reason being, the Panthers just loaded with offensive weapons there, and I thought they would, have enough firepower to pull it off. But Will Turner and and the Okers, they proved me wrong. I mean, they dominated from beginning to end there. They totally blew out the Panthers, I believe, 34 to or 43-8, actually. Tom Zednick did get in the end zone late in the game to get Johnson on the board, but Will Turner has been a beast for Coventry all year, and they just dominated from beginning to end. So kudos to the Okers for coming out victorious there in the Division Three championship. Now the Division Two championship. Um, this one, people were surprised. I wasn't. Um, and that was the Barrington St. Ray's matchup. The reason I wasn't surprised, again, um, my son, he played freshman football for the Hawks 4 years ago, obviously, when he was a freshman. And they came across a team in the Championship game, which was Barrington. And they gave Hendricken all they could for that game, 4 quarters. Hendricken ended up pulling it out 7-6. And that Hendricken freshman class was a dominant class. And they had 72 freshmen on that team that year, and Barrington gave them a lot of trouble. And so when uh, those kids obviously became seniors, and from what I understand, they were loaded with seniors on Barrington. And so right away, I told people from the beginning of the season that Barrington's going to be the team to beat in Division Two, and clearly they were, and they actually dominated St. Ray's and won that game, I believe, 34-6 or something like that. But they dominated that one from beginning to end. That triple option. Um, they got the perfect quarterback for that in Brigham Dunphy. That I like to describe him as slippery. You know what I mean? He doesn't. He's deceiving. He doesn't look like he's that fast, but he slips and he gets out of all these tackles, and he just makes big plays. And again, kudos to him for bringing the championship to Barrington. Um, Again, St. Ray's had a great year. They also went undefeated, but they did fall short against Barrington. And I know everybody's the talk of the one of the big talks of the season is the Moses Muse. I'm butchering his last name. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. It's Meus. I want to say. Um, but that kid is the sophomore phenom. He's going to be terrorizing around football for another 2 years. But he came up short this year. So we'll see what the Saints can do next year because that team was actually led by a heavy junior class. You know what I mean? So they're going to be tough again next year. So should be interesting to see what they can do. Over in Division One, we had the Knights versus the Avengers, the Central Knights versus the East Greenwich Avengers. I knew that would be a tough matchup. I did get this one right as well. I called Central for the win. Um, they've been tough all season. They got a great group of running backs there, a solid defense, hard hitting team. I just knew they would be too much. But it was a really close game. How close? 13-12. I mean, that came down to. Jack McMullen. He missed getting in the end zone by literally a few inches. It reminded me of the Tennessee Titans Super Bowl where the receiver there got caught right at the goal line, which would have gave him the W. What I mean? It kind of reminded me of that situation. What an exciting game to watch! If you haven't watched it, you can catch these games also on NFHS on demand, and you can actually rewatch the game. They did an excellent job. Um, with their commentary for all the games as well. So you can catch it there. But that literally came down to that play with like a minute left in the game. But congratulations to Central. Their quarterback there, Felix Rodriguez, he had a very solid year. Alba Jala, he played well for them on both sides of the ball. Um, you know, it was nice to see a team like that get the W and win the state championship for their Division One. Kudos to the Knights. They were my I don't want to say fan favorite, but that team I don't know what it is. They they captured my heart early on, I guess by the way they played, and so I've been like quietly rooting rooting for them, and they pulled it off. So kudos to them for that. Congratulations. Last but not least, we're going to talk about the division, or I should say Power Four Super Bowl, which is actually the state championship game. And there was no surprises here. It was the Hendricken Hawks versus the LaSalle Rams. And it's only been like that, what, 8 out of the last 10 Super Bowls? It's been LaSalle and Hendricken. Hendricken sporting a 7-1 record in those games, too, by the way. Uh, but this game here was it was close at first. Um, in the first half was a funny half because LaSalle went up 3-0. Hendricken came down and scored two touchdowns, put them up 14-3. And just when Hendricken looked like they were about to go up 21-3 after a nice run by Emmanuel Isaiah Emmanuel, he had a nice run. It looked like he was about to set up Hendricken to go up 21-3, but unfortunately he fumbled. LaSalle comes up with the ball. A couple of plays later, um, their sophomore quarterback finds finds one of the Montero brothers on a deep connection for a touchdown, and that next thing you know, it's 14-10. You have a game on your hands. Then literally a couple of minutes later, Iafredi slips behind the defense, and next thing you know, they're up. They're actually going into halftime up 16-14. And, I know I was stunned. The crowd was stunned, because it looked like Hendricken was on their way to dominate the game. And just like that, LaSalle left, going into halftime with the lead. But obviously, cooler heads prevailed. Adjustments were made. Hendricken comes out in the third quarter, scores 2 touchdowns right away, and gave them the lead. They never really looked back after that. LaSalle made it interesting when they scored another touchdown. Um, and again, I believe Ty Frady, who had a monster game. That kid's been a monster all season. And the scary thing about him is that he comes back next year. but he'll be back next season, which is going to be scary. But yeah, so he brought it in a little closer, and then Hendricken scored again off a pick six from Brendan Durant. That kid did everything. Um, he did everything but serve coffee. he ran the wildcat very well for Hendricken, scored a touchdown off that. Defense came up with a sack, came up with the pick six. I mean, the dude was everywhere. He did everything. Kudos to him on a great season. And yes, he is only a junior. So that pick six kind of put Hendricken up comfortably. And following that, will really put the nail on the coffin. It was following that pick six. Hendricken kicks off the ball, and the one and only Sincere Fernandes, one of the best looking kids on the team, my son, of course, right? He comes up, he comes up with the fumble recovery on the kickoff return, LaSalle's kickoff return, and gave the Hendricken the ball in great field position. And a couple plays later, the other good-looking kid on the team, Shine Fernandez, plunges into the end zone, and that was pretty much the nail on the coffin. Put Hendricken up 3 scores with about 5 minutes left in the game. And after that, it was just basically, you know, um, Henry. There was a few plays where LaSalle was trying to get into play, but it was just a matter of playing out the game at that point. So kudos to Hendricken on winning yet another championship. Um, and they deserve a lot of credit. A lot of people, hate on Hendricken. Yeah, it's a private school. The big thing is always, oh, why aren't they playing in a private school league? Guys, got to remember we're in Rhode Island. There's not too many schools here, period. Compared to other states. And let's not forget that other schools have the same opportunity to do what Hendricken is doing. You look at LaSalle, you look at St. Ray's, Moses Brown. These are all private schools too, but they don't dominate the way Hendricken does. So it's not as simple as they're a private school. It's unfair. You know what I mean? They do have to go out. They have to practice. They have to perform, and all these things go in cycles too. Like a lot of people are very impatient. You know, Hendricken's been dominant, yeah, for the last decade. But what about before that? Right? It wasn't all. It hasn't always been Hendricken. LaSalle has had a turn at their top. Um, East Providence has had a turn at the top. Portsmouth has had their turn at the top. Um, these things go into cycles. Uh, when will Hendricken's reign end? I don't know, but will it end? Yeah, everything comes to an end. You know what I mean. So people need to stop hating, and not only that, the better Hendricken does, the better it is for Rhode Island football. Like, look at all the attention Rhode Island gets, and I believe it's in large part because of Hendricken. When they're putting out players like Quiddy Pay, who just went in the first round of the NFL draft, when they're putting out players like Xavier Truss, who's playing down in Georgia, doing his thing, you know what I mean, and this year Jason Anye, who is on his way to Notre Dame to do his thing. When they're putting out players like that who get into programs like that, you know national eyes, national coaches, they start peeking into Rhode Island and looking for more talent to see if there's any other hidden gems. So let's not be so quick to hate on Hendricken. You know what I mean? I don't understand the. Well, I guess I do understand. Like they say, success breeds contempt, and I think that's the case there. But kudos to Hendricken, kudos to their coaching staff, and you know what? Kudos to all the Super Bowl champions this year, and mega kudos to Rhode Island high school football in general for getting through this season, this COVID season. I know it obviously wasn't easy. There was some turbulence on the way. Some games got canceled and this and that, but at least we were able to pull it off and give these kids a season. Was it a half-ass season? Probably, but it was a season nonetheless, and I was glad to see it happen. Um, Again, I'm sorry if this show seemed rushed. Um, I was at my son's baseball game, and it was driving to get here. I pulled in the driveway. I said, "Well, let me just go on now because I was scheduled to go on at 8 o'clock." So I apologize for that. But next week the show goes back to normal. We'll be back on politics, which I can't wait to get back into. Um, but I just wanted to take this special time out and just cover the Rhode Island high school football. I think these kids deserve it. As a matter of fact, if you don't know, I started a Instagram page called Rhode Island Ranked, and on that page, it's all about Rhode Island high school football. And again, that's on Instagram, Rhode Island Ranked. Um, check it out. There's a ton of highlights on there. It featured I feature all the Rhode Island high school kids. It's pretty cool, and I've gotten a pretty good response from the kids about it. So it's something I hope to keep going, even on in the off season. You know what I mean? I'm going to follow these kids as they train, as they get ready for the next season. I also want to stop following these kids as they go on into college. You know what I mean? And see if I can spotlight them just a little bit and see how that goes. Oh, one moment, my wife is here. Are you on your show? Yes, I am. Hi, everyone. Love you. Love you. The wonders of live TV, right? But yeah, so I've gotten really good response from it, so I want to keep that going. Again, I'm getting great feedback from the kids about it. A lot of people are following the page, so if you get a chance, look it up, hit the follow button. That being said, I'm going to sign off for today. Again, back to politics next week. But thanks for listening. And again, congratulations to all the Super Bowl champions, and God bless.